Okay, I'm a little bit early. I just want to make sure I get everything on, and I'm going to try to set up my laptop so I can see comments. So be back at 12 o'clock. Hey, Tracy. Okay. I think I'm getting there. You know how I am with technology. Woohoo! Question. So you have to bear with me. All right, let me get my tablet turned so I can see and turn the volume down so I don't hear myself talking. Every time I turn my tablet. Hey there.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How you doing? All right. Are you on?
Just got finished cleaning.
Oh, you did? Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I didn't know you did things live.
I'm trying to, not quite as often as I need to. So I thought I better do this, and I'm computer challenged. So trying to try to get this
Well,
done.
as you can see, I'm not used to it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to watch it on my laptop, on my tablet, but the picture is going sideways, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. So do you do any crafting?
Used to.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's what we do, and we have a new tool, so that's what I was going to go over with it. Comes out the first, so I was going to just kind of give everybody a little update on it and how it works. So
Awesome.
pretty exciting. Yeah,
Awesome.
It's pretty exciting. So we're all excited about that.
Great.
So we've got a few more minutes before people come in, so I'll just let everybody come on. And I think Patty's on, if I'm not mistaken. I'm still trying to figure out how to work my tablet to see who's on and who's not on. If the picture is vertical, turn your phone, because I've got my phone in a landscape mode, but on my tablet it's showing the opposite direction. Based on how I've got my phone set up to record this, that's the only way that I can get it done where it's convenient for me to be able to reach inside the screen. So if you turn your phones, and then I'll ask some of the other demonstrators to see if there's something that I can do differently, just to let you know that, okay? Because I've got a contraption that is kind of put together with PVC pipes, and it's pretty inexpensive to do, but your phone only sits up here, and of course it sits in the landscape mode based on how it's attached. So I'm not able to turn the phone. So I think it'd be easier if y'all would do that for me. I would greatly appreciate it. And then you can see, hopefully, everything at the normal angle. According to my camera, it looks like we're still actively live. All right, it's 12, so we'll just wait a couple more minutes. A few more people are popping in. Yeah, it's a little weird with the delay, because you say something and move your hands, and then about 20 seconds later, you see what you were just talking about. So it's a little strange for me, but that's okay. And then, of course, once this gets done, I'll post it so that you can go back and view it. And those, obviously, that missed it will be able to watch it as well. One thing that I would ask is if you like this video and you know other crafters, if you would share it, that would be awesome. I'd greatly appreciate that. I think we're a little after 12, so I'm going to go ahead and start, and if someone's not here, they'll just have to pick up where they come in at, because I don't want to hold everybody up for getting here on time. Thank you guys for coming. I want to talk with you about our new stamp positioning tool, which is called the Stamparatus. And for some reason, I have referred to it as a Stampasaurus. I'm not quite sure, but it's the Stamparatus. It's an awesome tool. It's one of the kind that is, I think, at the top of the industry. Stampin' Up! Has spent the last 4 to 5 years with fellow demonstrators and other business people within the company to design this positioning tool. And once you see it in action, you're just going to go, oh my goodness. And it's really, I have a Misty, and I believe it's a lot less expensive than what I paid for the Misty. So anyways, this is the brochure that comes with it. And we're actually going to use this stamp set, the Sheltering Tree. And the reason I'm doing that, not because they have it on here, but it has got multiple pieces, so it's going to make an easy way to demonstrate how this tool is going to work. All right, so inside it gives you some tips and various things about the Stamparatus, which I'm going to go over with you as well. And of course, then they have it in French and Japanese and I'm not sure, German, I think, whatever. And then on the back, it gives you some other information. So this will be available June 1st or whenever our catalog comes out, somewhere between the 1st and the 2nd. I'm not sure of that exact date. And you can get that through my online store at shallwestamp.com. So let me go through and show you what this little contraption is all about. It's just absolutely wonderful. And this is the Stamparatus. It's got, it's an 8x8 square, and it's about I think they said about 7/8 deep. And as you can see, we have hinges here, and it comes with 2 of the plates, okay? Now, the nice thing about this is that if you're doing a lot of stamping for making Christmas cards, or you want to make a lot of cards for whatever occasion, for a donation or what have you, you have the ability to stamp and stamp with the various plates. So with it having the 2 plates, you actually have 4 sides that you can use. You can put a stamp on this side, and you can put a stamp on this side and the other plate as well. Now, the one thing that sets ours apart from the others is that this plate can be lifted off, and you just pull it off and then place it down like slightly at a 90-degree angle, and then place it. And what it allows you to do is, if you want to stamp things and have an even space, you're able to do that. So you just lift, place, and then you stamp. You know, lift, place, and stamp. What an I'm telling you, this is just unbelievable. Now, the reason that I have it set this way is because this is the Stampin' Up logo. If you want to turn it, it works however it's going to work for you all. The nice thing, just like our paper trimmer, the bottom plate, if you will, is got measurements of every 1/4 inch. It also comes with the felt pad for cushioning when you're using your photopolymer, which is your see-through stamps, which you'll need this. If you're using the red rubber, which is what we refer to as clear, then you won't need this black cushion, okay? One thing that I did do is I cut a piece of our grid paper, and you can see our grid paper right here underneath comes in a 10x16 size, and I use that underneath on my crafting table so that I can stamp on it or whatever I need to do. So I just cut a square to put in here so that when I'm stamping, especially if I'm using the photopolymer, I'll set it here so I don't get ink on my cushion. It's just one of those things, one of those weird things that I do. So I am absolutely in love with this thing. And let me just show you a couple other things. On the back, you have 2 magnets, and they're stored. Now, the one thing you've got to keep in mind, and before I get to that, you've got a little thumb place or a finger placing right here and right here to make it easier to pull your magnets out. Now, these things are extremely strong. Do not get them close to each other, otherwise they are going to break. Stampin' Up will not replace them. You'll have to order a replacement package. When you're not using them, then you'll just place them back in here and it holds it in place. Okay, now what I recommend, and I've used this several times, I've found that I only need to use 1 magnet, but it's going to be up to you what you think is comfortable for you and what you want to do. But I personally find 1 magnet works fine. Now, one of the other recommendations is that when you get ready to stamp, I would recommend putting a regular size stamp pad or stamp case underneath. So when you get ready to put your ink on your stamp, which we'll do that in just a minute, it gives it some pressure. It keeps it even with the hinges. If you don't put anything here, then you're putting a little bit pressure on the hinges, because you can see this is going to drop down about, well, about 7/8 of an inch. Okay, so I recommend putting a case there, or you need to put your hand if you're going to use that. Okay, that's just one of the recommendations that I suggest. One of the other things too is that you can use your regular ink pads, but as you will find, you may probably get ink on your outside, on your acrylic plate. So, which is fine, and you can wipe them off with baby wipes. I've ordered some of the, I don't remember what they're called for the, when you dry off the car. I've ordered some of those that they come damp, and I'm going to cut them down to size. I haven't quite done that yet. But one of the other recommendations that I have is if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you get the little Stampin' Spots. And during the first year, I'm just going to put a little plug in here for Paper Pumpkin. It's a monthly crafting kit that you will not get the same ink for the first 12 months. But these little spots make it perfect for inking up your stamp and not getting ink on your plate. Now, if you're not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, then you can purchase empty ones through Stampin' Up, through my online store. And I think there's 5 or 6 to a package. I'm not quite sure. But what I do is I bought some empty ones. And for instance, this one, I used my ink refill and put Berry Burst in here. And then I punched out a half circle of the cardstock. And I put it on the inside of my lid so I'll know what color it is. And then I also put it on the bottom. So that way I can have these stored to the side and I'll know what color it is by looking at that piece of cardstock. So that's just a tip. That's just a tip for you for the day. So those are my 2 recommendations on that. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to make this card. Let me find it right here. Using the sheltering tree, if you can see that. So, and this is several steps because you've got the tree, you've got the branches, the flowers, the swing I'm going to add. We're going to stamp the grass and the flowers and then this grass here. Now these little pieces I may do without the Stamparatus only because they're small enough, but I want you to be able to see how easy it is to do the two-step stamping, if you will. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Now, one other suggestion, I would not butt your paper up into the corner. And the reason is that when you go to close your plate and your stamp's on here, there's a gap right here that will not be able to get a good coverage of your ink. So my recommendation is just place your cardstock somewhere in the center or wherever it's best for you. So I am going to place my magnet, and I'm just going to put it right here, and you can hear it click down. So I'm going to place it right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my stamp where I want my tree. So I'm going to place my stamp right there, and then I'm going to push this down and push on it, and then I'm going to pull up. Whoops, I didn't get my, there we go, and my stamp's on there. Let me put my magnet back on here. I didn't do a very good job of that. I'll put it on the corner. Okay, so I've got this where I want my tree to go, and I'm going to use our crumb cake ink, and I've got my stamp case below, and I hope you all can see. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up my tree with the crumb cake, and hopefully, now the one thing nice about this too is if you stamp this and you don't get enough ink coverage, you can re-ink it and do it again because it's going to line up. That's the wonderful thing about this positioning tool. So I'm just going to close the lid, push down. Now I do have my cushion underneath because we are using the photopolymer. So I'm just going to push down and pull up. Now look, see, I didn't get enough ink on that part of the tree. So we're going to ink it again. And I want to make sure I get the coverage, which should be this side right here. Nope, should be this side. Got to remember. It's backwards from what you're looking at. So let me make sure we get some ink coverage on this side. And we'll just stamp it again. And we'll push down. Okay. And for some reason, I'm not getting enough ink on that one. One little piece. There we go. So see how I was able to re-ink and stamp it back and it stayed right in place. Okay, so that's how it works with using this plate. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add our flowers or leaves or whatever you want to call this on the tree. So I'm going to place that right there, and I'm going to take my top plate, I'm going to pull that down, and I'm going to pull this up. So I'm going to stick this on here, and the magnet's a little bit on the high side, so you're just going to have to push really, just give it some good pressure so it pulls it up. And I'm holding on to my cardstock because my stamps are a little sticky. Okay, so I've got that there, and I'm going to go ahead and use Blushing Bride to stamp and color. So I'm going to go ahead and just bear with me if my head gets in here. I'm just going to hold this since I've got it on the top and put some ink on it so we can get some color on our tree. And I'm going to go ahead and close it and stamp my flowers, or I guess they're leaves. Flowers, I guess, because we're doing it in pink, so it's not really going to be leaves. All right, so we're going to lift that up. There you go. Isn't that awesome? It just makes it so easy. It's just unbelievable. Okay, now I'm going to take this off, and I'm just going to lift it and flip it over because I want to show you how you can do this. Now I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to place my grass here. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy up here. I'm going to put my grass right here. And I need to really wash. If you use these photopolymer a lot, you really need to wash them with some soap and water because they do tend to lose their stickiness. And then sometimes they don't stay on your blocks very well. And these have been well used, and they definitely need to be washed. And it's sticking to my paper, so I'm just going to put my finger down here. Now this may be where you want to use your other magnet right here to hold it in place. So now I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz, and I'm going to ink up my grass. And we're going to close it, and I'm going to put my grass down, and I've got my grass. Look at that. Isn't that so easy? Okay, so to finish up the card, I'm going to go ahead and just do the other, well, actually, let's do this. We'll do it one more time. All right, I'm taking the right plate off. I'm placing it in. I'm going to put my swing right here. I mean, he's going to hang on the tree. So we're going to put the swing right there. So I'm going to push this down to pick up my swing. All right, so I got my swing. We're going to go ahead and just ink that up. So you can see why sometimes it might be easier to use these little ink spots so you don't have the mess. All right, so we got that stamped down, and there's my swing. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so we're going to finish up the card. So the next thing I'm going to do is, let me find my little block. Oh, here it is right here in front of me. Let me wipe the ink off. We're going to stamp the grass, and I'm just going to go ahead and do this since we're using the photopolymer. It'll be a lot easier than trying to put all these little tiny pieces on there. So I'm going to use the Pear Pizzazz again, and I'm going to stamp some grass here, and I'll probably put some grass here, and I'll put a little bit over here. Okay? So that's that, and then we're going to take, and now we're going to add our flowers. Whoops. And we're going to use Berry Burst for that. And this is one of the end colors that's staying, that's not going out, so that's a good thing. So we're just going to stamp, and these stamps are designed to line up with the stems of the grass. All right, so I've got my flowers on there. And our card is almost done. Let me close up my ink pads. Now the next thing I'm going to do, let me go ahead and pull this off. And I'm going to shut this. Now one thing you do have to keep in mind, you cannot shut your two plates because there's not enough room. So take one off. It comes in a plastic bag. I did have a case made by one of my fellow demonstrators to carry my Stamparatus in, and it's absolutely adorable. She did embroidering, and she put my business name on there and the Stamparatus definition. So let me move this out of the way. I want to finish the card and show you how we're going to do this. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our sentiment, and then I'm going to cut it out. Actually, I've got a scrap over here, so I think I'm going to use that. And we're going to do something a little bit different with the sentiment. Rather than having it straight across on my, see, this thing's not sticking because it's so dirty, straight across the card, I'm going to stamp this. Oh, I got a little smudge. Let's do that again. See, if that's the nice thing, you got two-sided paper, so you get to take it off, flip it around. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm going to cut these words apart. So I'm going to take thinking, I'm going to cut that apart, and then I'm going to put of you. We're going to leave that together. I'm just going to trim this down a little bit, and then we're going to attach that to the front of our card just to give it a different look. All right, so we're using a crumb cake card base, and we will attach our card that we just got done stamping to a piece of Berry Burst, and I'm using my snail adhesive. So we'll place that right here, and it's going to have a little bit, I didn't quite put as big, this is about 1/8 of an inch around the edges, and as you can see, I just trying to do this without sticking my head in the screen. Bear with me. So we're going to put that on here, and all right, so we've got that there. And then we're going to attach this using our dimensionals. So I'm just going to pop this up on the back and attach that to our crumb cake card base. You never can have enough dimensionals, that's for sure. So we're going to put this together. Now, one thing, if you have some fingernails, I suggest you push in the middle with your nail. And what that does is it pulls your paper up so that you can pull it off a little bit quicker, a little easier than trying to fight with the backings of these dimensionals. So we'll just peel those off, put that off there, and we're going to lay this down here. And then the next thing, excuse me, that we're going to do is, since I cut this off, I want this to go on the top of the card. So I'm going to place this right here just to give it a little different. And then we're going to place this one, thinking of you, give that off a little offset. All right, and there's our card. How quick and easy is that using our Stamparatus? And then the one thing that I do is I decorate the inside of the card too. It always makes it nice. And we also, in my classes, we always decorate the envelopes. So that's a card using the sheltering tree and our magnificent Stamparatus. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, or you can message me through Facebook, and I'll respond to you as soon as possible. And this should be available around the 1st of June, and you can get that in my online store at Shall We Stamp. I thank you so much for attending, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye now.